Well, I want to say welcome. And my name is Janet Martin, and I want to thank everyone for joining me today. I am an organizational leadership coach, mentor, and speaker. I am so happy that all of you could make it today. And what makes this time so special to me is that I am here to talk about the life-changing subject of everyone communicates, you connect. This is an important subject, and I am basing my content on John Maxwell's book of the same title. And my purpose here today is to raise your awareness of leadership as a teachable skill. Yes, we can all learn this skill, and to give you some really practical information that you can apply right away. I want you to understand that you are all leaders in one way or another. And leadership comes down to one thing. That's influence. Leadership is influence, and influence depends on our ability to connect with people. I am going to go ahead and pull up my slides for you. Share my screen. There we go. Now, only one thing stands between you and greater success in your personal and professional life. It isn't knowledge, experience, skills, or talent. It's your ability to connect with people. And in a world where success is increasingly dependent upon collaboration, as we all know, especially in the internet age, you must learn to connect with people. And of course, you may think people are born with this skill, but the truth is that it is a learned skill. And there is always an opportunity for a powerful connection when communicating. And I know you are all here because you want to improve results, right? That's what we all want in our lives. We want to improve results with money, more time, lifestyle, relationships, health. Now, failing forward through the years, I have learned if you want to get better results, you've got to get better at connecting with people. And I'm talking about whether you're a father, mother, a sister, a brother, a spouse, son or daughter, to someone who runs their own business, even an employee or a manager, a vice president, a CEO. It doesn't matter who you are. You can improve your results by improving your ability to connect and influence people in an ethical way. If you want to improve your marriage, connecting better will definitely make a huge difference. And if you want a promotion, you need to connect better with your boss or your customers, your peers, and your team, right? We want to improve our relationships with our friends, and it's all about connecting. We need people. You can't do anything on your own in today's world. We need to be able to connect and influence other people to succeed in this world. The friction you experience in your day-to-day life comes down to leadership, connecting, and influence. And again, everything I'm talking about is absolutely 100% a teachable skill, which means that you can learn to connect. You can learn to lead. You can learn to improve your ability to influence people if you want to. Aha. Truthfully, anyone can learn how to make every communication an opportunity for a powerful connection. It is within your reach. Now, it might be out of your comfort zone, right? But it is within your reach. The reason that learning to connect can make such a difference to your results, to all your results, is that it is such a neglected skill. That word is not coming out properly today. Most people don't give any thought whatsoever to developing their ability to connect with people. Some don't see it as a skill, or they don't see it as important. And some don't see it at all. And because of this, it's outside of their awareness, and they're not conscious of the impact it has on them. The result is they can't quite put their finger on the problem, and it never gets better. And things can fall apart pretty quickly as well. And why we need to connect. We are humans. And humans, we have this thing called feelings and emotions, right? And they can be great. But when we lack communication and connection, respect, and so on and so forth, we can get pretty emotional. And most of the time we try to be rational and calm and logical, right? That is usually where we wish we could be all the time. But then something goes wrong, and then we can become frustrated, angry, say things that may get us into a little trouble, or maybe getting us to look for a new job, right? Or maybe a few new customers. Well, we are all human, and we have emotions and triggers that no matter what we think, we know something can set us off. There is someone you know that has this power, right? There's always somebody somewhere in your life that knows how to push your buttons. And this is not for good things. This is always for something to stress you out or to make things not go the way they're planned. And we don't want that negative space. We want a good space. We want to use good skills and connect so we can grow and increase productivity. Well, John Maxwell's book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, lays out powerful learning systems, and it's split into two parts: connecting principles and connecting practices. And when integrated and applied, these lessons will help redefine and reinvent your personal, professional, and family relationships. Now, obviously, there's more to connecting than we can cover here today. So let me just summarize them here now. And this is something that you can apply right away. So let me talk about some of the key practices today, so that if this is something that interests you, and if you've decided that you're going to improve your people skills, your ability to connect, then you have some tools that you can use right away. Now, John Maxwell is a #1 New York Times bestselling author with over 100 books. He's a coach, he's my mentor, and a motivational speaker who is amazing at what he does. And he has sold more than 25 million books in 50 languages. He is one of the most skilled communicators and, more importantly, skilled connectors I've ever met. Now, I began understanding the importance of connecting a long time ago, working in healthcare. I used to work with patients in a dermatologist's office where I assisted with patient care and biopsies. So when the doctor would tell the patient we needed to do a biopsy, I could immediately see the patient's eyes get really wide, and sometimes the color would leave their face. So of course, I felt it was my job and my duty to make sure that they understood what the procedure was about, what to expect, and to really help them calm their nerves. And that I would be right there, and to trust me, right? To trust that what I was saying was what they were going to expect. And of course, the end result was, it was exactly what I said. And so that was connecting. That was where I started connecting. And the thing is, you don't need to understand why the techniques of connecting work. You just need to understand the principles that support them and then apply them. And one principle that connecting increases your influence in every situation. Now, according to Harvard Business Review, the #1 criteria for advancement and promotion for professionals is an ability to communicate effectively. Now, presidential historian Robert Dallek said that successful presidents exhibit 5 skills and qualities that enable them to achieve things that others don't. They are vision, pragmatism, consensus building, charisma, and trustworthiness. And these 2 former presidents are still talked about today because I even just saw a talk show talk about this. Now, consider the differences in connecting skills between former President Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter during the election in the 1980s. Now, during the debate, Carter came across as cold and impersonal. And he was just quoting facts and figures and not connecting at all with the audience or even anyone around him for that matter, right? So the difference was Ronald Reagan was engaged with the audience. And even with Carter, he made people laugh. He made sure that he connected with them. He connected with the audience and the American people and was called the great communicator. And he still, I watched the little clips and bits and I still smile and laugh. And so that is what you want, right? That's what you want to give to somebody. And that's what you hope to get back from somebody, that connection. Now, I remember a few years ago, I entered a competition for a veterans competition called the National Veterans Creative Arts Festival. It's a healing arts program. Now, I was dealing with some issues personal wise, and I had pretty much stopped singing, something that I had loved to do very much. And I actually had backed out the year prior to that because I just didn't feel ready. And the year that I finally competed, I won first place for the local competition and was sent to nationals later that year. And I went by myself and I didn't know anyone. And I had never been to a national competition. And there were veterans and volunteers that came from all over the country, all different ages, all had gone through different experiences, right? And I got there and I checked in and went to my room by myself. And the next morning I got up and I went to eat breakfast by myself. And as I went into the room where we were going to start rehearsing for the show, I felt that connection in the room, just seeing, musical instruments and people doing their little dances and connecting. But I still didn't know anybody. But as people came in to start rehearsing as a choir, and of course their individual talents, there was then a smile and a hello, and where are you from? Where did you serve? What branch were you in? There were connections. And through the week, there were conversations that connected us even more. And of course, we stayed in touch. And the next year, I won again and got to go and felt connected instantly, even though I hadn't met anyone yet. And we were in a different state, in a different venue, some of the same faces, a lot of different new faces. And my goal for that second year was to make sure that I connected with all the veterans that were new that year and that had the same look on their face as I did the first year that I competed, because I wanted them to feel a connection right away. And that was the reason why we were there. And it was amazing. Well, connecting is the ability to identify with people and relate to them in such a way that it increases our influence with them. We now stay in touch on a Facebook group and through personal messages, even after all these years. And we continue to support and lift each other up. Now, some people connect intuitively and they have high interpersonal intelligence, right? You can just walk in a room and know everybody all of a sudden. And they seem to value people automatically, right? Now, others recognize connecting as important, but lack the tools and techniques. They need to learn to do what others do intuitively. And some people don't recognize connecting as important at all. They think they can do it all on their own, right? They don't need other people. I think we've all felt that way at one point. We've all gone through that. Why rely on others when it's quicker to do it yourself, right? If you want something done right, then you have to do it yourself, right? No, you've got to let go. So the better we are able to connect with other people, the better our results. Someone once said to me when I said this, well, what about rocket scientists? They were being funny, but they thought that it wouldn't apply to them really. And I thought for a while, and then I said, well, which skill is rarer? A rocket scientist or someone who can lead a team of rocket scientists to produce meaningful results in a coordinated fashion, on time and on budget? Mind blown. Or the CEO of Rocket Scientists Incorporated, right? Well, often the more brilliant people are, the more difficult they are to lead. So we need people, and people are emotional creatures. Now, to continue to try and outline the problem, So picture this. Here's a typical leader in an organization. Say we'll use Arrow A. And they may be the owner of a company or the leader of their department or any kind of leader with a team. It doesn't matter. Now, earlier I said that everyone wants to improve their results. So the company owner wants to improve results, right? The leader wants to improve his results, and everyone in the team wants to improve their results. So given that we are all different, we can assume that we all want different results. Different things are important to us, right? So we could represent this graphically as an arrow. This person wants to go in this direction and A, and then B wants to go in their own direction because they're all trying to improve, but they're not all on the same page, right? So then we have this, and you can lose communication very easily with people being goal-oriented, but only seeing the direction they want to go. So if the leader of the organization wants to improve results, he's talking about one thing. And then if they're not a connector, and if they don't value the other, then there's a tendency to think the way to improve results is to work harder yourself and tell everyone else to do the same. After all, how do most people get leadership positions in most organizations? It's normally based on technical assessment, isn't it? The best technician, the best knowledgeable person gets the promotion, right? Has nothing to do with leadership skills. Has nothing to do with communication skills or connecting skills. They figure maybe that'll grow somewhere down the road, right? So leadership is influence. So connecting with people, which comes from valuing people. And of course, technical skill and valuing people are polar opposites. So one is left-brained and one is right-brained. The technician simply doesn't see the world that way. So if you want people to do what they should, then show them the policy manual. That's a technician's thought process. They don't know how to lead and guide and connect. They want to get the job done. They know how to do it. They want you to know how to do it. And that's pretty much it. And I think we've all been led or not led by somebody with that caliber of experience, right? So the leader who can't connect works harder themselves. And then look what happens graphically when that happens. Here we go. A leader works 20% harder or even 30% harder. What does that do to the overall effort of the team? Well, it doesn't go up very much, does it? It makes a big difference to him, but the big difference to his wife and family, but very little difference to anything else. So I'm talking about an individual who focuses on themselves instead of leading a whole team to grow together and increase productivity as a whole. That guy might be doing good, or that woman might be doing well, because then they're continuously growing themselves. But there's other pieces that are falling by the wayside if the leader's not going to lead and group everyone together and work as a team. But the connector realizes that if they could get just another 10% out of everybody in the team, that it adds up to far more than they can contribute themselves. And as a result, they don't get divorced. Businesses stay open, right? They continue to grow and be productive. And leadership is influence. So leadership is results through others. It is all about others. But the reason connecting is such a skill, it is much more complicated than just saying, okay, I'm going to get more out of others. It's not something that you can just decide or even legislate for. You have to connect. Now, if you recall, I mentioned that anyone can learn how to make every communication an opportunity for a powerful connection. It's really just like any other skill. You need to learn the skill and practice it. Now, my dad, he served a total of 34 years between the Air National Guard and the Air Force. One skill that I wish my dad had was the ability to connect and mentor. Now, he took pride in his position as a crew chief and worked on F-4s and F-15s. His name is actually on an F-4 that is on display at Whiteman Air Force Base. He also thought that his way of communicating to the airmen was great. He would point them to a manual rather than connecting with them and tell them to go read the manual and learn it themselves. And that brings me to the next principle. Connecting is more a skill than a natural talent. I love this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's, all great speakers were bad speakers at first, right? We all have to start somewhere. And connecting is something anyone can learn to do, but one must study communication to improve at it. And we need to practice. And to connect with others, you must make the most of skills and experience that you have. And there are several factors that great connectors draw upon to cause people to listen to them. The first is relationships. Who you know. A quick way to gain credibility with an individual, a group, or an audience is to borrow it from someone who has credibility with them, right? Who you know can open the door for you to connect with someone. Now, the next is insight. What you know. If you share an area of expertise generously with others, you give people reasons to respect you and develop a sense of connection with you. The next one is success. What have you done? People want to be successful, and they seek out others who have accomplished something to get their advice. And if you are successful in anything you do, there will be people who will want to listen to you and connect with you. The next one is ability. What you can do. If you have a high level of ability in an area, others may want to connect with you because of that ability. Excellence connects. Individuals who perform at high level in their profession often have an instant credibility with others. People admire them, they want to be like them, and they feel connected to them. And when they speak, others listen. Think about Michael Jordan. He's made more money from endorsements than he's ever did playing basketball. And is it because of his knowledge or use of the products he endorses? No. It's because of what he can do with a basketball. And the last one is sacrifice. How you have lived. If you have made sacrifices, suffered a tragedy, or overcome painful obstacles, many people will relate to you. And if you have been able to remain positive yet humble in the midst of these difficulties, others will admire you and will connect with you as well. Now, these 5 connection factors are just the beginning. You can probably think of other reasons people connect, but the point is that you must take whatever you have and use it to connect with others. The more factors you have and the better you become at using them, the greater your chance of connecting with people. You must play to your strengths, develop your own style, and cultivate whatever skills you can in order to connect with people. Now, Max Dupree, author of Leadership as an Art, and the former CEO of Herman Miller, said, "There may be no single thing more important in our efforts to achieve meaningful work and fulfilling relationships than to learn to practice the art of communication." And I couldn't agree more. So let me just recap some key messages so far. Leadership is critical because anything worthwhile you achieve in life, in every area of your life, will be with and through other people. Everything rises and falls with leadership. And what is leadership? Remember, I said leadership is influence. Now, how can I develop my ability to influence others? Develop the skill of connecting. And how can I develop the skill of connecting? Well, learn to value others. And there is a shift in perception. So we'll take you out of the center and place the others at the center. Now let's take a look at a practice that can help you connect better. Now, I used to think I had to win a pageant or join a speaking group or have college degrees, and it was all about being the best. Now, if I wanted to lead, I have to be the best, right? No. If you want people to listen to you, you've got to impress them. No, that's not right either. Influence is not about impressing people. It's about connecting with them. It's not a logical thing, it's an emotional thing. And remember when we said earlier that people are emotional beings, they are not principally logical. We are emotional. And to understand how to connect with people emotionally, we need to understand that we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, and we are all different. Now, let me try to illustrate what I mean by this. So, how many of you see a black urn? Just raise your hand. Okay. Now, how many of you see two people face to face? You see that now too? Okay. Once I said the opposite of what you first saw, then you did see the other when I said that too, right? But it's the same picture, correct? Well, that's pretty interesting. It's the same picture viewed differently by different people. So if the picture is the same, then the difference must be the individual, right? There is something different that's happened to the average adult that changes the way they see things. That difference is called conditioning. Now, we don't see the world as it is. We see it as the way we are from the experiences that we've had, right? This goes a long way towards explaining why we don't get what we want, we get what we are. The implications for this are enormous, especially as it relates to communication. And we all see the world differently. This simple example illustrates a powerful point. We are all different. We all see the world differently, have different beliefs, different values, different things are important to us. We all have different passions, expectations, and tolerances. To ignore this when trying to connect is to miss the whole point of connecting. Connectors understand this. They know they have to connect with people on common ground. Now, remember the words common ground. See, if I talk to you about my beliefs or my values and they're not yours, you're probably not that interested intellectually. But there's certainly no emotional connection, right? You can't relate to me. You don't have a good feeling about me. Worse yet, if I violate your beliefs while I do it, now you not only don't get a good feeling about me, you actually get a bad feeling. And no one wants to be told what they believe is wrong, correct? Right. And if you challenge someone's beliefs directly, you are going to get them riled up. Yes. And if their core beliefs, things that they really value, they may want to hurt you. Yeah, and we've seen a lot more of that since social media has been up and running, right? This is the ego in its stripped down, raw state. It wants to exterminate everyone that doesn't agree with it. So if you want to connect with someone, you've got to go to them. You have to go first, and you need to connect on common ground. Where our beliefs and theirs intersect, that's common ground. We can connect with them here and then take them where we want them to go. If you don't connect, they won't go with you. Now, this takes energy. It takes energy, sometimes more energy than we were hoping, right? It takes energy to connect, and there is an investment necessary. But that's true of anything in life, really, right? You have to sow that seed if you expect to reap. Now we're just about out of time, so we're going to have to leave it here. But hopefully we've covered some information that you're not only finding interesting, but some ideas that you can start using right away. And just before we finish up, let me just cover this, because I think it's key to any kind of program of change. Do you find this interesting and enjoyable so far? This presentation is normally pretty well received, and it's got a lot of good information in it, and it is presented hopefully in an entertaining way. The trouble is it doesn't have the impact that it needs to have for one simple reason. Change is not an event, like I said, it's a process. And we have a tendency to overestimate the event and a tendency to underestimate the process. You see, an event, which is important, won't develop you as a communicator and a connector, but it can get you started on becoming better. If you think about it, to develop as a communicator and connector, we're talking about changing our behaviors. And unfortunately, we can't just snap our fingers and be changed, even though sometimes we wish that we could do that to other people, right? I wish we had time to talk more about this book, and I would love to share some of the other principles and practices with you, but I do want to honor your time so we can continue to communicate and connect the way we have been, or we can choose to intentionally develop these skills to increase our influence and leadership, and as a result, improve our results. Now, we've briefly touched on a few principles for communicating and connecting, and imagine doing a deeper dive into these lessons in a group setting or even individually in a private coaching session. So what would happen to you if you and your team took a deeper dive into becoming better communicators? What would that do for your personal growth? And what I would like for you to do, as we close, is simply answer this one question. Would you find studying the type of material presented here today would help you and your company achieve better results? Just a yes or no. And you can just stick it in the comments. And I can get you more information on this. And if you want to start growing your own connection and leadership skills, you can join me beginning October 5th for my online workshop. And what is great about these online groups is that you can possibly learn with and from people from all around the world. And you'll be able to connect with others and find out what has worked, what hasn't worked, and share thoughts and grow together. And this 9-week beta personal growth training on Everyone Communicates, You Connect is 90 minutes once a week for 9 weeks. And this is a $2,000 value. However, I am offering this amazing price of 75% off if you are one of the first 6 to register for the course in the next 48 hours. And I am including in this, for the first 4 people who register for the group in the next 48 hours, an extra little coaching session with me for free, a one-on-one. So we'll meet as a group through this workshop, and you get to share ideas and develop your skills. And right now, like I said, 75% off. And if you're one of the first 6 to register in the next 48 hours, after that, the price will increase. And I would really like to see you guys in this course and learn and grow and connect. Now, I hope this session added value to you today, and I want to thank you for your attentiveness and for joining me. And if you have any questions, please send me a DM or raise your virtual hand, and I will reach out to you after this webinar. And thank you. And as always, aspire to inspire.